How does America get saddled with these bad trade deals? If we look at our, quote, free trade agreements, we see a 425% increase in our trade deficit with those countries. You get that statistic if you include NAFTA, which, of course, is the granddaddy of all of our free trade deals. And that doesn't even count our worst deal, which was granting most favored nation status to China. So how do we end up with such bad deals? First, the elites convince themselves that it's good for the country. They do this because they love the theory of the economic textbook and don't feel comfortable looking at the practice of how business actually works. Second, the elites benefit from these deals. These deals help economists and Wall Street and attorneys, and so they convince themselves that they're good for the country as a whole and create a subcultural echo chamber in which it is a subcultural norm that all smart people realize that these are good trade deals. So having convinced themselves to support these deals, they use a combination of condescension, false appeals to patriotism, and sneaky tactics to saddle the American people with these trade deals. Take a look at what the effect on working families. America needs a raise. To get it, we need a severe labor shortage. We would have millions of additional jobs, a desperate labor shortage, if only we had balanced trade with the world. Let's look at TPP and its inclusion of Vietnam. We are told that the Trans-Pacific Partnership will give us free access to the Vietnamese market. There's only one problem. In Vietnam, there's no freedom and there's no market. In fact, we will not have access except as the Communist Party of Vietnam decides to grant it on the basis of crony capitalism. But our workers are going to have to compete against 40 cent an hour Vietnamese labor. Now, we're told that in Vietnam, under this deal, it won't be illegal to organize a union. They won't put you in jail for organizing a union. Yes, what they'll do is they'll plant drugs on every union activist and arrest them for that. You're not going to see free unions in Vietnam. So it hurts working families. So how do they sell it? They claim that it may take jobs away, but it's a necessary sacrifice because we have to contain China. As the ranking member of the Asia Subcommittee, I'm here to tell you the TPP is great for China. First, we're told, well, we get to write the rules. No, these are Wall Street's rules. They're not the rules of the American working family. Second, TPP enshrines the idea that currency manipulation is just fine. So China gets the single most important change in the rules of international trade. But finally, and most obscurely, there are the rules of origin. Now, we know that under this deal, goods that are made in Vietnam or Japan come right into the United States with no tariffs. What you don't know is that goods that are 50, 60%, 70% made in China then go to Vietnam or Japan to where they can put a Made in Japan sticker on it and send it in the United States. That's when they admit that it's 50 or 60% made in China. As a CPA, I'll tell you, if you're in a position to admit that your goods are 60% made in China, that means they can be 90% made in China. So China gets to fast track their goods into the United States, no tariffs, and we get no access to the Chinese markets. So it's a really bad deal. How do you pass it? You use sneaky tactics. They don't have the votes to pass it now. The American people would rise in opposition to try to pass it now. So they're going to wait for the lame duck and then have a group of retiring members of this body shaft the American people with the TPP. We do have a solution. We need to get all three remaining presidential candidates to declare that if sneaky tactics and lame duck sessions are used to impose TPP on America, that they will, in their first month in office, pull us back out of TPP. Unless we hear that clearly from the three presidential candidates, all of whom oppose TPP, that they not only oppose it, but they will erase anything that happens in a lame duck session, then the elites will prevail. We will lose jobs again. Our workers will have to compete with 40 cent an hour labor. Chinese goods will be fast-tracked into the United States with Made in Japan and Made in Vietnam stickers on them. It's time for the presidential candidates to go beyond saying they're against it. They have to declare that they'll make sure that any lame duck approval of TPP that happens in December will be erased the following January. I yield back.
Gentleman's time's expired. The chair now recognizes the gentleman.